Good morning, world. Oh my
Good
goodness.
morning.
I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Krista.
and we're here to share with you our experience of this last year. Let me
It's been
start
a little more than a
again.
week.
Exactly. But it feels like it's just the same day over and over and over again.
It does. Have any of you had a much different experience this last year and a half than you ever thought that you would? About a year and a half ago, I think you guys all know what we're talking about. I actually lost my job and I became a stay-at-home mom for the first time, like a full-time stay-at-home mom. I had like a couple days a week where I was home before, but I was a full-time stay-at-home mom for the first time ever. And it was not planned. It was not what I thought was going to happen.
I love that. It was not planned.
Yeah, it was unexpected.
I'm messing up my plans.
So yeah. And I think that a lot of us were in that experience, or a lot of us experienced a different year last year than we thought. Some people didn't have the best year ever, but it's been really interesting, Stephanie, as you and I have had a lot of conversations with people who did have a really good year the last year. I know there was a lot of fear around things going on in the world and a lot of stress, but we had more time with our families than maybe ever before. And we were able to spend time in a way that we didn't know really existed before, right? We were able to slow down and we were able to, I spent every day with my kids for the last year and a half. And we were able to do a lot of things, right? We started some new traditions together. We played a lot. We learned a lot about each other and we bonded in a way that was unexpected and unplanned, but really beautiful. And I don't know that had we not had this last year and a half, that we would have been able to bond in the same way that we were able to this year. But the cool thing is, the thing that we're going to talk about today is it's not something that has to stop just because things are starting to go back to normal.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing. Everyone has enjoyed, or the majority, I shouldn't say everyone, right? You and I, okay, we'll put it on us. We've enjoyed what we've been able to create.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me because there's been so many blessings out of this pandemic. And like my son, we would have been empty nesters, and yet we got that extra year to be with our children. And that was such a blessing. But I also feel like it shed some light on what's most important.
Yeah.
And so whether it's with our kids, whether it's with family, whether it's with just slowing down and rebuilding relationships, it really showed me the importance of relationships, but it also showed me the importance of something that I want to do as far as a business, to maintain those relationships and not get back into the rat race of the 9-to-5 job, of not being with your kids. And for me, I feel this really showed me that there is a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, hey, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
You can do something else. And so that's what I feel, as we've talked, that's what has been such a blessing, is we've had the opportunity to do something different. And when we did it differently, we got out of our comfort zone, we went for it. And that's really what we want to talk to you guys about, just in case you're feeling the same way, of maybe there is a different way. And if there is there somebody out there who's paved it before me? And we just want to let you know that we have paved this way for you. And we would love to share with you what we've done in order for us to maintain the COVID lifestyle to move forward.
Who would have ever thought we would have said that? But what's really interesting is, COVID, I feel like, showed us that there was, like you said, a different way, but also there is, like, we have choices, right? And for me, my choice was kind of made for me in the sense that I lost my job. But it was a huge wake up call for me because I had taken a job in an office, if you can believe it. And I hadn't worked in an office. I hadn't worked in person with anybody for 7 years. And so really, really at all for my whole career. And so then I took this in-person, in-office job. I sat in a cubicle. Um, and it was like, what am I doing here? You know? And so anyways, I liked the people that I was working with and I liked my boss. And so I was gonna stick it out. But I was obviously didn't have the option to stick it out, right? Because of COVID. And so for me, it was a huge wake up call because I realized like that's not actually the life that I wanted. And I didn't have a choice to go back to that life. Now I could, right? I could get another like in and that kind of thing. But the freedom that I was able to experience over the last year and a half is like, I could never go back, right? I couldn't go back to the way things were before. And freedom can mean a lot of different things to different people, right? It can mean time freedom, it can mean financial freedom. It may be that you're seeking financial freedom and you want to stay in your full-time job because you love it, but you want to bring in some extra income so that you feel more stable. It may be that you're wanting to make some more connections. It may be that you are wanting to have some more time freedom. Maybe you want to go part-time with that job and then you want to do something else on the side. And it's amazing when you start to realize that you have options and you don't have to just go in this one direction and this is the way things have to be. And I even I tried to follow the rules, right? I tried to do what everybody else was doing. I tried to color in the line. And I literally was like forced out of that. Like, this is not the thing for you, you know? And so it was pretty cool to watch and see like how we together were able to create freedom in both of our lives, right?
And I think it's so important what you said, that there are options. And that's something that I think is so important because I was a little bit different than Krista because I was in the corporate world. And that's where, everything happened, right? In that corporate world. And then when I said, I don't belong in that corporate world anymore, just because things were different, things were changing and it didn't fit with where I wanted to be. And as I transitioned out of it, it was incredible to see the options that you have. And it's interesting to me because I don't know if I would have chosen this particular field had I not had the experience with health that I needed something else to change. And as I noticed that I had options even in my healthcare, then it became, wait a minute, if I have options in my healthcare, then maybe I have options everywhere and in other places of freedom. And that's what I think was so incredible. And now what I love more than anything is watching, as we go through this pandemic to maintain that freedom. That, yeah, we might not know what's going to happen in the future, but I know what's going to happen now. And I know that my time and the relationships that I'm building is most important. And I think that's really the message that we want to get there is if you are sitting there and you're listening to us and you're like, wait a minute, I know how they feel, then we want to know that we have been praying for you and that you will look at our message and that you will jump on and you'll say, hey, maybe I want to have a call with them. Not maybe I'm going to choose to go in and see what they have to offer because there's so much that we have to offer. So Krista, what would you tell them if someone's listening to us and they're like sitting on the fence?
Okay. If you're sitting on the fence, I guess what I would say is there's literally nothing to lose. Like there's not a risk factor here, right? That you're, and the thing is, what I found is the biggest lesson I think I've learned over the last year and a half is we create our own reality, right? And so we have the choice, like being able to see, like you said, in your healthcare and being able to see in my job and different things like that, that there are options. It puts so much power back into your own hands to say, like, I can create the reality that I want. I can create the life that I want. I can create the health that I want, right? And knowing that you can do that is life changing. And so I guess really I would say there's nothing to lose here in the sense of like there's no downside. There's only upsides. There's only like you're only going to be on a path of growth moving towards this opportunity. There's nothing to lose. And so let's talk.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I also love the fact that I think it's really important to note here what we're talking about, and that is that we know how to take you to a place that can help you financially, that can help you find time freedom. And the reason why we know is because we've been there.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it. But one thing that I think is really important is before, before this life, I was a teacher. And one of the things that I did that I loved more than anything is I allowed students to be students, and I met them where they were at. And I fell in love with where their genius, their zone of genius fit. And then we moved them forward through their zone of genius. And so I just want to let you know, every shoe does not fit all. One shoe does not fit all.
Mm-hmm.
But what does fit all is the foundational process. So that foundational process, it does fit all, but in going about that foundational process, it's going to fit you and how you do things in your way that honor your desire to be you. And so that's what I think is so important. Krista does things differently than I do, but our foundational process is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's one thing that's really important is when you come with us, we don't want to change you. We want to add to what you're doing and how you're doing it to fit you so that you can honor your desire in being you and being authentic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And if
give us
it's
a
meant
call.
for you, if it's meant for you, then it'll happen, right? And I feel like if you're watching this video, it's meant for you.
Absolutely. So give us a call. We'd love to talk. We'd love to chat.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
I just texted you. Did I lose you?
Are we still recording?
I don't think we did a strong enough ending. What do you think?
What do you want to add to the end?